Back to the locker room. Well, playoffs are well underway, Ian, and boy, are we ever being entertained with the talent and skill of these players.
Yeah, we really are. And, we had Darcy Road on the show last Sunday, and we talked about this video replay. And, in spite of that, it's been really good hockey. And, we saw a 3 overtime game today with Detroit coming out on top of Anaheim 3-2, and then earlier on the Rangers beating New Jersey 2 goals to none, pardon me. So it's been just some outstanding hockey. And speaking of hockey, we're going to talk about it a little bit later on our local watch. How about those South Surrey Eagles, Steve?
Oh, for anyone that hasn't heard yet, the Surrey Eagles did win their game today. We're not going to tell you the score, but boy, are they ever on a roll. And we do want to let everybody know that we're going to do something when the show finishes, and mark the phone number when it comes up, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be manning the telephones when the show finishes till 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to take your calls. We're going to be sending a telegram down to Summerside to the Surrey Eagles and wish them all the success. So if you want your name added on the telegram, phone us sometime between the time the show finishes at 9 o'clock tonight. Going to be quite interesting to see how many names we get in the telegram.
Yeah, and it's a real classy move, I think, by Rogers Cable. They're going to pick up the tab for the telegram, and let's get all those Eagles fans who supported them all year to give us a call and get their names on that telegram so we can send back to the boys and wish them all the luck.
Yeah, no kidding. They might need it, but I know there's 4 teams that are playing. Going to be interesting hockey. And real quick for the Junior B, the Pacific International Junior B, there's 2 more additions to the Junior B League this year that I have just been informed of. One is in West Vancouver. They're going to be playing out of the West Van Rec Center called the West Van Wave. And the other one's going to be playing back out of Ladner, and they're going to be called the Delta Ice Hawks, if you can be familiar with that. So that's going to be 2 additions. West Van plays Monday. Delta will play on Tuesday night. So new additions. Thanks for Tom Shaw for telling me that.
And always great anytime you can get more junior hockey teams involved and have more players playing this sport of hockey, Steve.
Well, it is, because it's a place now for our players to play. They no longer have to leave our area. And as you know, Ian, one of my pet peeves is when we lose all our players, they go stateside, they go elsewhere and play all their hockey. It's local, homegrown talent. Let's go and promote the game, because that's what we need. And we talked earlier off the top of the show about this video replay, and I know you guys have just bantered this thing back to death. And quite interesting, because I think it's got its pros and cons, but I really am not quite conversant with the fact that they're doing it as much as they should. They've taken away the goal judge and taken away too much of the game, and that's the sad part about it.
No, it really is, and again, in spite of all the goals that have gone to replay, it's been some outstanding hockey, and I mean, we went over that last week with Darcy, and just the amount of goals that they've gone upstairs that really wasn't necessary. I understand the NHL's point of view; they want to get it right, and anytime you can be absolutely sure, but I still think about, the 7th game, Steve, of a Stanley Cup series, 3-3 in overtime, and, a goal goes in the net, controversy, what a way to
Okay,
end.
speaking of controversy, let's really throw fuel to the fire right now. What about rumor has it that Mike Keenan has, we've heard rumors that Mike Keenan is negotiating right now possibly to go with the Boston Bruins.
Well, I think at this point it's a rumor, and there's probably a lot to the rumor, but is Mike Keenan going to be able to get along with Harry Sinden? Everywhere Mike Keenan goes, Steve, it seems like he has to be the #1 guy.
The question is, should Mike Keenan be back in the league?
Well, I think, I think Mike Keenan would be a great asset to the Vancouver Canucks, because he'd boot him. And the Boston Bruins have always been a very hard-working hockey club, and maybe Mike Keenan would be the kind of guy that would come in and make them successful. And, I've also heard that the Bruins have been rumored are also talking to the coach of the Boston College hockey team, and that's Harry Sinden and his cheap spending again. They could probably pick him up for cheaper than the Canucks got Tom Rennie. But I think it'd be neat to see Iron Mike back in the NHL.
It would, but I could never conceivably see him coming to Vancouver. I know that him and Pat Quinn would just get locked horns, and I don't think they'd ever get along. But interesting to see, because there's so much going on. Seattle, unfortunately, lost in the Western Hockey League final to Lethbridge. Big, tough game for them, but congratulations to Seattle for going so far.
Yeah.
Mariners doing very, very well.
Well,
too.
they are, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, Steve. I hope we'll get a chance to on the open phones, but for those of you out there who don't realize it, Ken Griffey Jr. is undoubtedly right now the best baseball player anywhere on this planet, and he may be for the next 10 years. The guy is 2 hours away, and the Mariners average 20,000 to 30,000 people per game, so there's always going to be lots of tickets available. We may not have another chance to see a player of this kid's magnitude, and so if you ever get the opportunity, get down to Seattle, watch the Mariners play, and we're going to try to get our cameras down there for one series, and let's see if we can talk to Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, they do. It's nice because it's just a product not that far away. We've got our own Vancouver Canadians playing ball. They're playing exceptional ball. Of course, anytime you can go out to Nat Bailey and take a ball game in, that's nice to see as well.
Best little ballpark in North America.
It is. The only other ballpark I've seen that's a little bit different from that is the one back in Ottawa, and that's basically
where the Ottawa Lynx play.
The Ottawa Lynx play in Ottawa, let's face it, is a farm club for the Montreal Expos. But that's just a gorgeous park.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, you got to like that one too.
Absolutely.
But a lot to do in the world of sport right now. And as you were saying, we've got Dave Evans coming on.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to talk because we've got so much more that we're going to talk about in the wild world and this zany world of sport coming up later on, because we want to get your opinions. Phone us and let us know what you think about it. And we're going to be giving you an email address where you can email us later on too when we come back. And you know, your point of view about all sorts of different stuff. I want to find out one thing just before you get to Dave Evans. I want to know, and you can ask him, if he had a problem and was there a chance on him going to another team, would he jump at it right now?
No, I'll tell you what, and Dave will probably tell us that right now. Dave Evans, and belated congratulations to Dave. He had a baby, and I'm going to have to ask him because I forget if it was a baby boy or a baby girl. But Dave's recently married and a recently new child. Dave just doesn't have the time. Dave's going to work with us on the Rogers WLA Game of the Week as a color commentator. But Dave was very happy in North Shore. North Shore treated him well, and he got along with everybody there. But he wants to take a year off, and hopefully he'll be back in the league somewhere next year.
Oh, no doubt David will be. We're going to take a little bit of a timeout right now and come back with the Local Watch and Ian Metcalf.
Hi, this is Dawn Bensmiller with the Tip of the Week. This week we're going to talk about carrying the ball or cradling it. And Dennis Quigley, assistant coach of the Coquitlam Adanacs, is going to help us. Dennis, can you describe to me the importance of cradling or carrying the ball?
Well, if you watch kids playing lacrosse, you see some kids have no problem getting the ball down the floor, running with it. Others seem to lose the ball for no apparent reason. And basically, it's poor technique. They're not using the cradling action to keep the ball in the back of the net, and it's basically centrifugal force at play that keeps the ball in the net if it's done correctly. Sometimes some boys are too rigid in the arms. They don't use the joints and wrist action and fingertip control to keep that ball in possession. A very important skill.
Okay, and can you describe to us the different ways of cradling or carrying the ball?
Well, there's basically, I look at it as three different types of cradles. I'll call when somebody's chasing me, I'm using what I call a medium cradle. I'm sprinting and I'm using the action to assist me down the floor. If I'm not using proper arm action, it's actually going to restrict the sprinting power that I can generate. So, and then there's another type of cradle when I pick it up and I'm ready to, we call the triple threat position, where I'm ready to pass the ball, I'm ready to shoot the ball, or fake the ball, and it's in a more vertical upright position, and I'm just feeling for the ball as I hold this stick over my head in basically a horizontal position to the floor. And again, ball location and feel without having me to turn and look at my stick. I don't have to take my eye off the defender or off my own teammates. And the other one, in contact, you must cradle the ball. Otherwise, when the defender jars you, quite often the ball will go flying out of the stick again. The fact that the forces aren't being applied in the right direction, the ball shoots out of your stick because the stick isn't turned in this cradling action upon contact. So very important skill to master.
Okay, thanks for joining us. That's our Tip of the Week, and we'll see you next week.
He's on Morski. knows what to do with the ball when he's checked. As we've got some rough stuff there, as Andy Ogilvy comes in to help out. Of course he's there. And don't get him fired up. Ogilvy's ready. He's got a loose ball. He's ready to goal. Save there. Off the goal post. The red light is on. We're going to have a stoppage of play.
And welcome back, everybody. And we'll take a look at the local watch a little bit later on in the show. But as you've seen the last 2 or 3 minutes, yes, it is lacrosse season. And yes, our first Rogers game of the week is going to be next Sunday at 3 o'clock. And speaking of lacrosse, joining me now, Dave Evans, the past coach of the North Shore Indians and Hall of Fame goaltender from your days with the Vancouver Barrage. Dave, first of all, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks very much for having me.
All right,
great to be here.
The reason we wanted to have you on is, first of all, you're going to be the color commentator for our WLA Game of the Week. And first of all, congratulations for getting that job. And we want to talk about your preseason picks for this year. Now, what I thought maybe we'd do this year is start backwards. And let's start off with the Coquitlam Adanacs, because they finished last year with a record of 5-15, but I don't think they're going to finish last this year, David.
No, I don't think so either, Ian. But first, let me preface this. I'm probably one of the world's worst prognosticators, if you like, if past history indicates anything. But yeah, the Adanacs have made some tremendous strides over last year. I think a couple of their big strengths. First of all, their goaltending. Dallas Alec, the veteran, Pat O'Toole, his second year in the league, probably the best one. Well, not probably, definitely the best one-two punch, goaltending punch in the league. The second thing, I think they have the best coaching staff in the league. Perhaps not the best coach per se, but in Dave Wilfong, Dennis Quigley, and Taki Wahalis, they've got a great group of coaches, experienced. They've got a year working together as a coaching staff now. I think that's a huge plus. Some of the players they've added this year, in addition to their junior drafts, Bill Callan's back. Mark Nadasti is back out of mothballs.
After 6 years, that's right.
He hasn't played for a lot of years. But there's guys like that. Bobby Klein is back in the lineup. Guys like that are going to give them some toughness, a little bit of experience and maturity to go with all the young kids they added last year. I think they finished last year, 5-15 doesn't sound like much, but they improved so much from day one to the end of the season. I can see Coquitlam battling for second place. I really can.
Now, Coquitlam opened their season last night with a 9-8 victory over Burnaby, and two youngsters who impressed me, young Chris Bride, a draft choice out of South Fraser, and Rusty Kruger, the captain of last year's Orangeville Minnow Cup winning team. And when you add those veterans and those young rookies, Coquitlam does look a solid second-place finish choice right now.
Yeah, I mean, Bride was a 50-goal scorer with the South Fraser team last year in junior, and Rusty Kruger, a former MVP in the Minnow Cup with the Orangeville team. And I think anytime you can get guys who are captains is a tremendous acquisition, because obviously they're captains for a reason, and that's their leadership qualities. And I think that's really going to help them out.
Absolutely. Now let's go next. Last year we'll go to Burnaby. Burnaby last year finished with a record, I do believe, of 10-10. I saw the Lakers play last night. They're missing some players. They're missing Johnny Wilson. They're missing Brian Nicola. How do you see their fortunes in '97?
Well, unfortunately, I'm an old Burnaby boy from way back, but I can see them dropping off a bit. Wilson probably hasn't got the greatest reputation as a team player, as a defensive player, but hey, he still scored over 60 points last year. That's a hard thing to replace, and they really haven't replaced that in the draft. I'm sure you're going to want to talk about their draft situation with Kyle Goundry, but really none of their draft choices have arrived. So they haven't added anything that way.
Okay, hold that thought, Dave. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Stick around.
More hits per square inch. More goals per second. More thrills per pound. Western Lacrosse Association action. More bangs for your buck. Phone Ticketmaster 280-4400 or tickets at the door.
We are back and got rid of some technical difficulties, but we are talking about the Burnaby Lakers. And again, last year they finished with a 10-10 record. David, your thoughts on the Lakers this year?
Yeah, I think I can see them dropping off a little bit this year. As you mentioned, Brian Nicola, Dan Stroop, John Wilson. Stroop and Wilson, their second and third overall scorers, both out of the lineup at this stage. I think, as we all know in lacrosse, the lineup at the 1st of May and the lineup the 1st of June are usually two very different things. But at this stage of the game, they're looking a little weak depth-wise. But they've still got a good core of veterans. You know, Russ Hurd's back, Keith Cowison, Robbie Williams. I think one of the keys to Burnaby's success is how Curtis Pallador accepts the position of being the absolute #1 goaltender. You know, he shared action with Lance Andre the last couple of years, and I think it's really to Burnaby's benefit to just designated Curtis as the #1 guy and let him play and let him know he's going to play a lot this year, which I think is what's going to happen there. And I think so goes Kurt Pallador is how Burnaby's fortunes are going to go this year.
Yeah, you mentioned Russ Hurd, and Russ got off to a great start last night. David, 6 assists, and looked really good on Burnaby's power play last night. But let's look at New Westminster, and my oh my, what a fall from grace. You know, New Westminster used to be unbeatable, and they were everybody's choice to get into the Mann Cup, but they're going to have difficulty making the playoffs this year, David.
Yeah, as I'm looking at my crib sheet here, I've got the roster and the holdout list of all the teams. And
would I ever like to have their holdout list?
Quite frankly, their holdout list looks stronger than their roster. It really does. I mean, right now on their holdout list, you got Kyle Cooling, Dougie Hill, Paul Jones, Randy Jones, Kurt Malosky, Derek Malosky, Peter Park, who all played last year. Andy Ogilvy hasn't played for a couple of years, but still is on their holdout list. On the other side of the coin, they have got 6 players on their active roster fresh out of Junior A. Now, when is the last time a New Westminster Sandbelly team had
and that's where they've gotten themselves in trouble over the years, too, not bringing in the younger kids. Now, what's going on with Malosky? I know he's a holdout because he doesn't want to play in New Westminster. I guess he doesn't want to play for a rebuilding club. Are they going to be able to deal him?
I've heard rumors. You know, I don't want to start spouting off what the rumors are. I just don't think it's fair to the players involved. But yeah, I think you're right when you say yeah, these players aren't stupid. They can look and see, hey, we're losing a lot of guys. We've got some young guys coming along. Maybe we want to be on a contending team. And I think Westminster's management perhaps will make a decision to say, look, we're going to go and rebuild or reload, you might say, and go with the young kids. Yeah. And I think. You know, looking at it from Coach Bob Salt's perspective, it might be a good situation for him to get a bunch of young kids and work with them, because that's one of Bobby's fortes, certainly as a coach, is working with young kids. And I think most coaches tend to prefer, in a way, working with younger players and experienced players. In the long run, it might turn out to be a bonus for New Westminster. But as you say, I see it a real tough haul for them to make the playoffs this year. I really do.
Absolutely. We are talking Western Lacrosse Association lacrosse with Dave Evans, the new color man for our Rogers Game of the Week, and he's giving us his 1997 picks. If you want to join us and give us a call and give us yours, give us a call. The number's at the bottom of your screen, and give us your thoughts on who you think is going to finish where in the lacrosse season this year. Talking Western Lacrosse Association. Back to New Westminster. Fairly strong in goal. Rick Mang returned, so they're steady there. But again, you know, both Malosky's is really got to hurt them offensively this year.
Oh yeah, and you know, they've still got Jordy D and they've still got Joey Hiltz, but I mean, Jordy is perhaps one of the greatest players to play over the last 10 years. But he's at a stage in his career when he's had some injuries over the last couple of years. He can't lift the team, and he may lead them emotionally and on a short-term basis. For instance, in the playoffs last year, he was probably their best player over the playoffs last year, over a relatively short period of time. But over the long haul of a 20-game schedule, you know, whether Jordy can do that, I don't know. Yeah. As you say, Rick Mang, they're steady in the nets. If anything happens to him, their backup situation isn't that strong. So,
we've got our first caller in the locker room. Bob, how you doing tonight? Hello, Bob. Bob's gone. Okay, well, we did have a caller.
What about Bob?
Okay, well, let's put the salmon bellies to bed and let's move on. And third place finishers last year, the Victoria Shamrocks, and boy, oh boy, the players they've added this year, Dave. I think they're going to run away and hide from the rest of the league.
Yeah, you know, Victoria didn't really have that great of a regular season last year. You know, actually they finished tied with the Bellies at 10-9-1. But talk about peaking at the right time. I mean, they swept Maple Ridge in the first round of the playoffs, swept the North Shore team that I was with last year in the playoffs, and unfortunately got swept themselves in the Mann Cup. But I think that's one of the key things for Victoria. They are going to be so highly motivated because they know what a talented team they've got. And if you look at the Victoria roster, there's not a weak spot.
No, there's certainly not.
You know, I was making notes here before the show, and I thought, well, gee, let's pick a plus and a minus for each team. And the best I could do for a minus for Victoria was, you know, Marty O'Neill and Bobby Hayes are journeyman goaltenders, not great. If they run into a real hot goaltender, an Eliak or a Metke in North Shore, and they slough off a bit, they're going to lose a couple of games.
Not likely to happen. And you throw into the mix Gary Gate.
Well, Gary Gate is playing for Victoria. I think local lacrosse fans are familiar with the Paul Gate situation of last year, where Paul flew back and forth for a half a dozen games. Gary's doing a similar thing in Victoria. I think it's 8 games that he's playing, and then he and his family are moving out for the playoffs and staying here. Obviously a little different situation with Gary going to Victoria than Paul going to North Shore, because Gary's going home. He's from Victoria, his family's there. A lot of the players on this Shamrock team are former teammates of his. But some of the other guys they've added, Rob Desormeaux is back in the lineup. Neil Doddridge, who played with the Rocks a couple years ago from back east, add tremendous toughness and some offensive ability too. And both Greg and Grant Pepper are back in the lineup. I mean, this is a very, very deep team.
2 teams to go, the North Shore Indians. You had them last year. What do you see the 97 version?
I see North Shore pretty much staying where they were. I mean, they've lost a couple of players. Their leading scorer from last year, Mike Benedict, won't be back.
Big loss.
Big loss, yeah. But I think you know, Mike did the bulk of his scoring early in the season, tailed off a bit at the end of the year as players caught on to his skills and his technique. They lost Derek Graham, who had a lot of injuries last year, didn't play an awful lot, but he's a good face-off man. But pretty much everybody else is back.
We're going to get you to hold that thought, because we've got Rick from South Surrey on the line. Rick, how you doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
Good.
By the way, thanks for that thing for the Eagles earlier, but I'm trying to remember where you played, Dave. Was it with the Vancouver Burrards?
Yeah, I try to remember myself sometimes. yeah, I played with the Burrards for 11 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 70s and early 80s.
And you also spent some time in the National Lacrosse League, I believe, with Quebec, David.
With Montreal. Yeah, I spent 1 year in Montreal in 1975 with the National Pro League.
Also, when does the league officially start, the WLA?
It started last night, Rick, and Burnaby lost to Coquitlam 9-8.
Oh, yeah. And New West is coming up pretty soon?
New West plays in Maple Ridge on Tuesday night, and New West has their home opener on Thursday. I'm not sure who they play, but we'll try to get that to you a little bit later.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Rick.
Bye.
Okay, then North Shore, the last team to go is the Maple Ridge Burrards, and they caught everybody. A very young team. They got off to a real quick start. I think the rest of the league knows a little bit more about them now, and I don't think they're going to have the kind of year they had last year.
No, I think you're going to see Maple Ridge, like you say, they snuck up on a lot of teams last year. I know, quite frankly, it was difficult at times to motivate our team last year, and that's certainly no offense intended to the Burrards, because they made some tremendous strides last year, added a lot of young players. They've added a few new players this year, young players, but I see them maybe dropping off a little bit. Not much. They'll probably be somewhere around where they were last year. But the big thing with them is, and with a lot of the teams, except for Victoria, not much depth offensively. North Shore's got a lot of depth offensively. Victoria's got tremendous depth. The rest of the teams, once you get past the top 2 or 3 players, for instance with the Burrards, once you get past Fridge, Gill, and Kenny Thomas, there isn't an awful lot of offense there, and everybody's kind of in that same boat.
Okay, Dave, I want to thank you very much for coming on. We probably could have talked another half hour. We didn't even get to the Kyle Gownder situation, but I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about that when we do our WLA Game of the Week. Thanks again, and we look forward to hearing your comments on our upcoming Games of the Week.
Oh, great. Thanks for having me, Ian.
All right. When we come back, Local Watch and Open Phones. Stick around.
More hits per square inch. More goals per second. More thrills per pound. Western Lacrosse Association action. More bangs for your buck. Phone Ticketmaster 280-4400 or tickets at the door.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Local Watch. It's that part of the show where we track our local athletes across the country and around the globe. And tonight, we start with action from the Royal Bank Cup, where the South Surrey Eagles have won their first game today, 5-2 over Rayside. And as they have all year, Shane Cuss and Scott Gomez lead the way with 2 goals apiece. Joe Vandermeer pots an empty netter to preserve the victory. Now the South Surrey Eagles outshot the club 49-29, including 22-4 in the second period. Now in yesterday's game at the Royal Bank Cup, Weyburn defeated Canada Valley 7-3, and Summerside beat Rayside 5-1. Now the Eagles' next game is Tuesday against Weyburn, followed by a game Wednesday against the host Summerside team, and they finish the prelims Thursday against Canada. Now if the Eagles are successful in the prelims, they'll move on to the semifinals next Saturday at Summerside. There you see the schedule for the games on Saturday, May the 10th. And there you see the May 11th championship game, which will be televised on TSN. Now a look at the Eagles' playoff scoring. Scotty Gomez, to no one's surprise, leading the way with 44 points, followed by Jake Fissinek and Shane Kuss with 38 points. Dustin Lattery with 18 goals, and Vandermeer round out the top 5 for the Eagles. Now in World Hockey, Canada advances to the final round starting Tuesday against Finland in Helsinki. They beat the Italian squad yesterday 6-0. Turning to the Western Lacrosse Association, the 1997 season opened last night, and it was the Coquitlam Adanacs getting off with a 9-8 victory over the Lakers. Jason Wolder leads the way with 4 goals, with rookies Chris Bride and Rusty Kruger scoring 2 apiece. For the Lakers, Rob Williams leads the way with 3 goals, while Russ Hurd fires 6 assists. Now games this week in the Western Lacrosse Association. New Westminster plays at Maple Ridge on Tuesday night, and North Shore at Coquitlam end the week next Saturday. Reminder, all games in the Western Lacrosse Association an 8 o'clock start. Now in BC Junior A Lacrosse this week, Victoria opens up in Coquitlam Wednesday, and the week finishes off Friday with Burnaby at New West. All games in that league at 8 o'clock, with the exception of the Sunday starts at 7 o'clock. Now our Rogers Lacrosse Game of the Week starts next Sunday, with the North Shore Coquitlam game being our first. All games air at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Now turning to the sport of rugby, it's the AAA boys rankings with Shawnigan Lake of the Island in first spot. St. Michael's from Victoria, Carson Graham, North Van, and Oak Bay of Victoria, along with Lord Byng of Vancouver, make up the top 5. Can't leave the girls out. Shawnigan Lake also holds down the #1 ranking. Carson Graham, Semiahmoo of White Rock, Cowichan, and Centennial of Coquitlam make up the top 5. Now in other local rugby news, Gareth Rees, who led Wasps to the English Club Championship last weekend, is back as captain of the Canadian team. The veteran back from Victoria has only played 2 games for Canada since the 1995 World Cup, but he's set to return next Monday for a training camp prior to Canada's May 10th Pacific Rim Tournament opener against the U.S. And finally in softball, 2 members of the SFU women's team have received postseason awards. Tracy Snedden and Tanya Carlson, who led the Clan to the regular season title, have been picked Player and Pitcher of the Year respectively to the All-Conference team. Next, for the upcoming Western Lacrosse Association season. Don't go away.
Spend your mornings with Daytime, live weekdays at 10 a.m.
This energy-packed show will bring you special guests,
informative stories, and lots more.
Daytime, a show you'll want to tune into daily.
On Rogers Community TV.
Make sure you get the financial facts. Watch The Investment Scene with Chris Tidd on Rogers Community TV.
The consensus on the street is usually incredibly close to the reality.
This message is coming to you from Television Land. In Television Land, I can dream of Genie. Wake up to breakfast television. Go to the transporter room. Buy a vowel. Get a ticket to ride. And take a giant leap for mankind. What year is it in Television Land? It's right now. It hasn't happened yet, and I don't want to miss a second of it.
And coming soon from Rogers Digital Choice TV.
Over 100 channels, digital quality sound and picture.
On TV, I've seen things. You're not going to miss all this, are you?
The specialty channels, bringing you more choice.
It's a good thing.
More movies.
How do you do?
More documentaries. More entertainment. More music. Bravo, CMT, Discovery, Life, Showcase. The specialty channels. Get more from television. Call Rogers and get the combo.
Hello, I'm Alex Wallace.
And I'm Don Wilson.
Seniors Alive is a program designed by seniors for seniors.
For insight on seniors issues, join us here, Tuesdays, 3 p.m.
They are ordinary people leading extraordinary lives. They could be your next-door neighbor or a colleague at work. Join us when we meet some of these people who have the ability to inspire the best in all of us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Locker Room. Well, the 123rd running of the Kentucky Derby took place yesterday in Louisville, Kentucky. And anybody that watched it, and if you're a horsing race fanatic, boy, it was real entertaining. Silver Charm held off the race, ended up winning it by a time of 2:02 and 2/5 of a second. Boy, entertaining, exceptional race. And the winning did pay $10 to win, $4.80 to place, and $4.20 to show, rather. But very entertaining race, and the Preakness is coming up.
I'm not going to tell you how much money I put on the race, Steve. But anyway, it's our time in the show where we're going to do some public service announcements right about now. Female ball hockey in the Lower Mainland. They're looking for players and they're looking for teams. If there's any women out there that want to play ball hockey, give Renata a call at 322-7110. And the BC Summer Games is going to be held July 24th and through the 27th in Burnaby. They're looking for volunteers. For information on that, phone 654-5193. And Steve, you were telling me that midget lacrosse is going to be in the Summer Games this year.
Yes, midget lacrosse is going to be back in lacrosse this season, the first time since 1991. So that's a big addition. So give them a call because another volunteer number for the Summer Games is 294-1997. And those are a couple of them. And I know a referee school is coming up in the Lower Mainland, also going to be put on by Baron Parker, whom a good buddy of mine. And Baron's school is called the West Coast School of Officiating, put at the Langley Twin Rinks. Phone number is 574-5186. Give Baron a call because guest referee this year will be Don Marawelli, who did the game today.
3-hour Marawelli.
Yes. But entertaining, very an awful lot of fun. And you know, we get all these people. We're going to open the phone lines right now and talk about Stanley Cup action because we want to get your input and your thoughts on how the Stanley Cup playoffs go. Let's get some predictions. I know you've been fence sitting for a little bit, Ian.
Well, yeah.
Who are you picking and who would you
well,
like to see win the
unfortunately,
Stanley
all
Cup?
my teams have been kicked out already. I mean, I thought Dallas would beat Edmonton. I thought Dallas was going to be one of the Final Four teams, but Cujo stood on his head. But right now, you have to still like the Colorado Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils. Although the Devils lost today 2-0 to the Rangers, I still see them coming out ahead. And I still like a Colorado-New Jersey final, but boy, oh boy, anything can happen.
Were you surprised with the, I guess, firing or the release for the coach of Tremblay in Montreal?
No, not at all. I mean, he resigned, but, you know...
Honorable dismissal.
Well, you know, what was Mario Tremblay before the coach of the Canadiens? He was a color commentator. I mean, you know, Mario shouldn't have got the job in the first place. I don't know who you'd put in Montreal. Montreal arguably has to be the toughest place to coach anywhere. You're constantly under the microscope by the media. No surprise to me that Mario's gone. A lot of the players didn't like him. Savage said that he wouldn't come back if Mario was back. Maybe one or two players wanted Mario back, but you know, no surprise. I mean, if he hadn't resigned, they would have canned him anyway.
Very likely. First caller from Surrey, Stefan.
Hello?
How are you doing?
Okay, about the Stanley Cup.
Yes, sir. Hello?
We lost him already.
Yeah, that's too bad.
We'll try to get him back.
No, they want to talk Stanley Cup. A couple of local boys are doing very well in the Stanley Cup. Pleased with Joe Sakic. He is just having a super year, as is Mr. Korea.
Well, you know what, Joe Sakic too, and I know it's hard to believe anything Tony Gallagher says in this market, but I've heard from people in the know that Joe Sakic, it's no secret, Joe wants to play in Vancouver next year, and you know, Alexander McGillney is going to be tough to sign. You know, do you trade McGillney for Sakic straight up, or do you sign Sakic as a free agent and give up the 5 first-round draft choices the way the Canucks have drafted in the last 5 years?
Scary.
I don't think it's going to hurt him.
Oh, well, we're going to ask Mike. We've got Mike on the line from Port Coquitlam. Mike.
Hi. I just want to know your thoughts on Curtis Joseph of the Edmonton Oilers. He seems so focused. I mean, last year at this time he was like really, up and down games. But I just want to know, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, Mike, Cujo was the reason why Edmonton beat Dallas. Now, he didn't have a great game against Colorado, but I expect him. Now, I know the game's going on right now. I don't know the score. I don't know how Edmonton's playing right now. But Cujo, yeah, he was the difference in the Dallas-Edmonton series. I expect him to come back after that first Colorado game and have a good playoff the rest of the way through, because when a goaltender's in his zone, when a goaltender's focused, he's tough to beat, and Cujo's played well so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, he has. He's played very, very well, and that's the main focus for the playoffs. It always seems that the goaltenders are the backbone, and they always dig down and they always persevere and get so much stronger, as do the players. Why can't the players? The question you always ask yourself is, why can't the players with this much of intensity all year long? It's so lovely to watch the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, come time to go regular season, they just lull us to sleep.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice? And just think of all the people spending, anywhere between $60 and $100 to sit in good seats and watch these athletes play. It really is too bad that you only see them at their best maybe 20 games of the year maximum.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and it's getting to be very, very expensive to go to the games, and it's not a cheap sport. Last week when you gentlemen were doing the show, had a chance to go downtown and take in the Vince Gill concert, and Vince Gill, all credit to Vince Gill, come out in a Vancouver Canuck jersey, sporting number 97 with his name on the back, and he said, "Surprise, I've signed an 8-year contract." He said, "I'm your next goalie." But it was a little bit of an insight to it.
I'm glad you mentioned the word uniform, Steve, because I want to get your thoughts on the Vancouver Canucks, and we have to say allegedly, because Orca Bay has not confirmed it, but they also haven't denied what their new logo is going to look like. And what is that? That Montreal Canadian C with a whale jumping out of it. Your thoughts on that logo, Steve?
Well, I actually don't mind the logo. I think the logo is very, very catchy. It's a different style uniform that they want. They dug down. They went a little bit deeper than what a lot of people thought. They're trying to go to the year 2000, just as some of the other clubs are, and that's where they want to go. I personally think it's a nice, catchy logo, but it depends.
Well, you would, because 75% of people have said they don't like it, Steve. But I expected you to like it. So
I do that. Well, we're going to ask Steve.
All right.
Steve.
Yeah.
Do you like the Canucks' new logo?
I don't like them. They look too much like Montreal.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much.
What I was going to say is, everyone's talking about Gar Snow playing for Philadelphia. I think before this round's out, maybe not this round, but the third or fourth round, Ron Hextall will get his chance, and when he does, he will play. And I wouldn't be surprised, I think Philly's going to go to the finals, that he will be starting in there. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, you see the goal Danny Kordic scored. Here comes the guys that tough luck what happened to his brother in the NHL. Perseveres, finally gets a regular shift, played 70-some-odd games. I didn't see him lose a fight this year. He's big, he's mad, he's learning how to play. He throws with both hands, and I think Dave Brown's tooling him, and I was glad to see him get in there and glad to see him get a goal.
Yeah, for sure. And, and like you say, Gar Snow has played well for Philadelphia. And but, if anything happens to Snow, if Snow starts to teeter a little bit, it's nice when you've got a Ron Hextall that can come in with all that playoff experience. And, I think we'll see Ronnie Hextall before the playoffs are out.
Yeah, I do too. I think Hextall will be back, and boy, he'll be in fine form when he does come back. And speaking of coming back, we've got Stefan back in the line. Stefan, you are back.
Yeah, sorry about my phone, but
that's okay.
I was reading the Province today, and it said something about Sakic wanting to come home to play in Vancouver.
Yes.
And do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, and we talked about that just a minute ago, Stefan. Yeah, Joe does want to come back to Vancouver. He let it be known that. Problem is Orca Bay willing to put the money out? I think they should. They've shown last year in the Wayne Gretzky negotiations that they're willing to put the money out, and Joe Sakic would just be the perfect fit in Vancouver. He'd be the big center that they've so sorely missed. Right. I don't think the Canucks have ever had a Joe Sakic type center, and he'd be just a great fit in Vancouver, and I don't think you'd have to give up too much right now to get him. I think it's going to be more money.
Question is are they going to release him, and are they going to let him go to allow him to come up here? I don't know.
He's a restricted free agent, Steve. If Colorado doesn't sign him, he's open for bids.
Do you really think realistically that Colorado is going to let him go?
Well, they've already said it's either going to be Santa Sojalins that they're going to sign or Joe Sakic. They're not going to sign them both, and I think that Joe's let it be known to Colorado that he wants to come back to Vancouver, and I really think that that chances are better than 50-50 that we're going to see Joe Sakic in a Canuck uniform.
Yeah, would that ever be nice? And once again, we want to remind everybody that when the show finishes, we're going to be manning the phones, and we are going to be sending a telegram to the Surrey Eagles down in Summerside, Prince Edward Island, and wish them all the success in the world for this Canadian Tier 2 Championship, the Centennial Cup. And if you want your name added to the list, give us a call when the show finishes, and we'll be manning the telephone lines till about 9 o'clock tonight Tell us your name and where you're from, and we're going to send him a telegram very likely tomorrow or Tuesday. So give us a call. Our next caller's on the line, Diane. Diana?
Hi. Can you hear me? Okay. I wanted to find out two things. What you thought of the Philadelphia Flyer fight that broke out at the game last night.
Okay.
As well as I wanted to know why they are changing the Canuck logo. And the one that was issued in the newspaper, is that the accurate logo that they're changing it to?
Okay, well, two things. I didn't mind the fight last night. I actually thought it was quite entertaining, and that's coming from a referee. Yeah, no, I thought it was very entertaining. As long as it's a one-on-one, I don't mind. Congratulations, I should offer to Brad Lazarewicz of Langley, a local protege that's gone on to the National Hockey League line of the game. He had his hands full. Good, fair fight. I didn't think anybody got the upper hand in that. I thought it was even. I thought it was a good fight. Ian said no, it wasn't, but I thought it was pretty good. And the logo, yes, apparently, from what Steve Tambellini says, that is the logo that they're looking at, but he's not giving anything out. He's not really going to let any secrets out of the bag.
And Deanna, as far as the new logo is concerned, I hate it. And the reason why they're doing it is money, because what's going to happen now is that they're going to start manufacturing all these new wonderful uniforms, and they're going to charge $100 to $150 to sell them. And of course, little Johnny wants to be the first one on the block to get this uniform. So I believe anyway that it's a marketing ploy. And to answer your question, as far as are they going to go with them, I say alleged because no one from Orca Bay has confirmed whether or not they're going to go with them. The word was that they leaked it out because they wanted to see what the fans thought. Well, in all the surveys I've seen, Steve, 75% of the fans don't like him, and I really hope they don't go with them.
Well, Orca Bay, I don't think leaked it out, so that was a bit of a controversy there. Next caller on the line, Tim from Vancouver.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Great.
Just a few things. First of all, I'll take Buffalo to win the Cup.
Okay.
Hey, they're playing strong.
You got your close game last night.
Yep.
But watching the game last night, there's something that just ticked me off was the Buffalo goal that was called back, the crease rule.
Yes.
The Philadelphia player pushed him into the goalie, Primo, and he attempted to get out. He had, half a foot in the crease? Now, that's a judgment call by the referee that should be made.
It is. It's a judgment call. Fully agree with you. I'm not going to argue with it. I thought that one should have counted. I didn't have a problem with that goal, but unfortunately, they're going upstairs to this video replay right now all the time, and I'd like to see them get away from that. Put more onus on the referee on the ice. That's why he's getting paid. If he can't make the judgment call, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be there. Put more focus on him, but that's what they're looking at doing. And I feel sorry for him because they are really put in a tough situation right now.
What I find really frustrating, Steve, they've got this wonderful video, instant replay.
That's what you call it.
Okay, they go upstairs, and when a guy gets pushed in the crease, the referee cannot ask that question. If the video goal judge sees a player pushed in the crease, say, for example, the referee misses it, video goal judge cannot tell the referee that player was pushed in the crease, and I think that's just awful. Because if the National Hockey League wants to get it right, they should give more responsibility to the goal judge and let him tell the referee, yes, so-and-so got shoved into the crease, the goal should not count. They've got to change that rule at least for next year.
Well, they're looking at changing it, and the other part is that I think they've got to give more onus on the linesman as well to be able to assist the referee, because in a situation like that, yes, he was pushed in, he tried to get out, and you're going to beat a wild horse to death right there with that situation, and I feel sorry for the officials because, boy, the question you've got to ask yourself is if they're doing this in the National League, normally the Canadian hockey always follows suit. Are they going to do it next year for minor hockey and junior hockey? I really hope not. But anyway, let's go to our next call. Akram.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
What can we do for you?
I just wanted to talk about if Colorado and Detroit went to the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
I was wondering who would you think would win?
Colorado.
No, Detroit. No. We'll agree to disagree on this one. Who would you pick?
Probably Detroit.
No, you know what?
There
Detroit,
you go.
Colorado's got better goaltending. Colorado's got
How can you say
better
Colorado's
depth.
got better
Colorado's
goaltending?
got better defense. I like Detroit. I like their hockey team, but in Colorado, Detroit, Colorado wins in 6 games.
Okay, go with coaching.
All right?
Go with coaching staff. Who are you going to pick out?
I like
Detroit's got stronger coaching.
Mark Crawford. Scotty Bowman's been around a long, long time, but Mark Crawford is one of the best young coaches, the best coaches anywhere right now, and coaching, they've even got him on coaching, Steve.
He's not coaching. He's just standing behind the bench, opening and closing the gate. That's all.
You've got your opinion. I've got mine, and we'll see what happens.
We'll agree to disagree. Next caller, Scott.
Hi, I play for the Burnaby Winter Club, Bantamay. I was just wondering, Dominic Hasek's my role model, and I just want to know, like, what do you guys think about him getting in to a fight with the cameraman? Does that set a good example for young kids like us?
No, it does not. And I'll jump in on this one before
Yeah,
Ian
and
does.
I'm going to have my say. I hope I get a chance
you
to have my say because...
No, I don't agree with him going after the cameraman that the way he did, but I personally feel that the suspension they gave him was way too severe.
He wasn't a cameraman. He was the head of the professional writers of North America. That's why Dominic Hasek is suspended. Dominic Hasek was wrong. I agree. But you don't give a guy 3 games, and as important a player is as Hasek is to Buffalo, I think the NHL made the wrong call. I'm a member of the media. I should support it because you don't want players coming after you physically. But I saw the tape. I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it warranted 3 games, and I just think it was a bad call on Mr. Bettman's part.
Well, it by far was not as severe as the Schoenfeld situation a few years back with Koharski. And I personally agree with you, and I think the suspension that they did give him was way too severe. But I fully agree with you. I don't think it sets a good example to any young players that are aspiring to play and make a higher caliber that they want to advance to. And for you young people at home, if you see stuff like that happen, whether it's him or whether it's Hextall, try not to emulate those guys because the biggest difference between you and them is they pay more income tax. So that's the biggest thing right there. But other than that, the Stanley Cup Finals are going extremely well. I'm pleased with what we're seeing here.
Yeah, we're seeing some real good hockey this time of year, Steve, and as well we should. And you know, again, you know, my picks: Colorado and New Jersey. The Rangers are going to give the Devils a real run, and I can see that series going 7 games. But I think Gretzky and Tikkanen and Messier, I think they're too old to carry the team that far into the final.
Wow, I don't know. I can see it going 7, but I can't see Jersey necessarily taking them in 7. That's just crosstown rivals, that one. Next caller in the line, Ahmed.
Hi, I was wondering about the Canucks New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Yep, yeah, we've talked about it. What do you think? Because we've talked about it, we've given you our opinion.
I actually like it. I think
okay,
it's pretty,
all right.
it's pretty good. I was wondering, what happens to the 3rd jersey? The Canucks 3rd jersey?
They'll keep the 3rd jersey, from what I've been told.
And I don't know about the third jersey. I mean, right now the 3rd jersey is just a replica of their jersey they have now, except it's that awful red color. So I don't know if they have a 3rd jersey. You know what I like to see them with their 3rd jersey, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I'd like to see them have their 3rd jersey as going back to that hockey stick inside the rink. The original uniforms, you know, back from the 1970s to what, about 78, they had the white, blue, and the green. And I really like that. I think they should keep that around for their 3rd jersey.
See, I've had different people in the last little while come up and tell me that they feel that going back to the 3rd jersey, they should go back to that Johnny Canuck that they used to have when they played in the Western Hockey League days.
There's another
and,
thought, too.
There's another thought to it, you know, because there's different things they can go back. The other teams, Boston and Montreal, they've all gone back to their early ones.
Terrible. Those new Boston Bruins sweaters, 3rd jerseys are just
Yeah, we got another caller on the line. Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
How you doing?
The first thing I'd like to say is it may not be nice of me to say, but I think Dominic Hasek should be suspended for the rest of the playoffs.
Okay, well, you've got your opinion.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's just because, first of all, Kelly said something about him faking about his knee. And he may be right, because Hasek seems to be, I saw him practicing the other day, he looked pretty good for a guy that has a bad knee. And my second comment is I think that they leaked the uniforms on purpose, and it's not really the new uniforms. They just didn't want to take the heat, so they leaked those uniforms so nobody would be trying to find out what they look like anymore.
That's basically what I think too. Yeah, and as far as Hasek is concerned, I really can't see a professional athlete doing that. You know, I know there were rumors that when Dominic played in Czechoslovakia that he gave up on his team, but the type of knee injury Dominic has is really tough to tell from watching him practice whether or not he is hurt. But I don't think he is. I don't agree with the suspension. But
yeah, well, some of his teammates are a little mad because apparently he's good friends with Frank Musial.
Yeah, and he spent the night. He allegedly spent the night with Frank. Yeah.
Hey, with Frank Musial.
I know. Yeah.
Some of his teammates weren't impressed by that.
I guess not.
No, I guess not. And of course, the big situation with that, they're claiming that he's got a knee injury. Anyone that has had knee surgery knows that your knee can act up at different times.
Oh, sure.
And it can really cause you a lot of problems. And his might be just one of those that might be, I don't know, controversial. And anyway, I don't agree with the length of suspension, and we appreciate your call. Next call on the line, Max from Vancouver, I think he said.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to say that can they come up with something original and like can you show the jersey, please?
Can we show the jersey? No, because we don't have a copy of it. The only place I've seen it is in the province newspaper, and I think that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So you have to get a copy there and take a look if you want to see
We'll
it.
see if we can get maybe a replica or something picture-wise to show maybe on our next show.
It's somewhere on the internet too. I think
we'll
you've got
pick
access
one
to
up
the
for you.
internet, so I don't know. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I know. You just don't like it. Okay, next caller, Scott. Scott, are you there?
I'm there.
Hi,
yes,
Scott.
sir. How you doing?
Good. What's up, gentlemen?
We're doing great. What can we do for you?
I wanted to ask you a question on goaltending, actually.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you each of your guys' thoughts on who do you think the greatest product to come out of Montreal is?
Like born and raised in Montreal?
Sorry, Quebec, yes.
Quebec. Oh boy, that's really a tough question because let me throw it back on you. Who do you think?
Well, I'm a big Martin Brodeur fan.
Oh yeah,
actually.
well, yeah, and he'd be right up there, but.
Which era are you talking about now?
Oh, any era you like. You know, you guys are a little older than I am.
Well, he is, but I'm not. Jeepers, Mark.
Now, I don't know. I've always liked the play of Jacques Plante when Jacques Plante played back with the Montreal Canadiens, and I thought Plante's style basically choreographed the style of play that the goaltenders are using today.
And Bernie Perrant's another example. He played in the league in the late 60s, 70s, and Bernie Perrant was another goaltender. But you know what, caller? Martin Brodeur, he may well be the best goaltender to come out of Quebec, and I know it's really early to tell yet, but give Martin Brodeur another 10 years in this league, and people might be saying he just may be the best.
What about Richard Brodeur as well?
Well, yeah, he had his year.
No kidding. Quite interesting. Next caller on the line.
Hi.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi,
yes,
you're on.
Hi, sorry, I was sleeping then.
Well, that's all right.
Well, I'd just like to get your opinion. Who both vote off you, Steve, and I forget the other guy.
Ian, yep.
Stanley Cup winner, who would you predict? I'm going to go for the Rangers. I don't care. They're playing well. They won today.
Okay, well, that's fair. And I've said all along I think Colorado's going to win it. And, they won it last year. I know it's easy to pick Colorado, but I still think that I don't see anybody out there capable of beating them right now, and that's my opinion. Who do you think is going to win?
Colorado is strong, but I don't know.
You're a Red Wings fan, aren't you,
I know. I'd
Steve,
like to see, yes, growing up in Southern Ontario, yes, I am. I'd like to see the Red Wings come through and be victorious because I really feel that if the Red Wings go on and they are successful for the season, this could be Scotty Bowman's last season.
Well,
so it's going to be quite interesting to see how they how they do finish off.
Yep, we'll see.
But we will see. So Ed's our next caller on the line.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hi, Ed, just great.
That's good. Really enjoy your show. I think you should be on at least an hour though.
Okay, thanks for that. Tell our producer.
Okay, yeah, I just got two things I want to touch on real quick.
Yep.
First of all, the Hasek thing. I think that's been blown out of proportion big time. I mean, look what Alomar and Hirschbeck last year. I mean,
truthful, yes.
It doesn't compare. And my second question, I was listening for your comments, is the Canucks goaltending next season. Do you see any changes? And if you can just respond to that, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Thanks, Ian.
Well, I think right now it looks like Kirk McLean's going to be back. I don't think Corey Hirsch is good enough yet to get the #1 job, barring a trade. And I really think the Canucks are going to make a trade in the offseason. But I think that Kirk McLean is going to be back, and whether or not he should be, I think he'll be back.
Okay, no, I agree with you. I can't see Kirk McLean leaving at all. I think Kirk McLean's going to be here for a little while longer.
Yep.
There's no reason to have Kurt go just because he's had knee surgery. Hey, he's a good young goaltender.
Goaltending is the least of the Canucks' problems right now.
Right now, yes, it really is. Goaltending is strong. Believe me, goaltending is strong. Corey Hirsch is a strong goaltender. Anybody that's watched Corey play over the past few years, play up in Kamloops for the Canadian team, I'm pleased and I'm impressed that he is here. Question's going to be arisen as to what they're going to do with some of their other players that they have, because that's going to be quite interesting too, to see how they change things over the course of the summer. But we want to remind everybody one more time that we'll be manning the phone lines here tonight at the station till 9 o'clock. Give us a call because we're going to send a telegram down east to Summerside, Prince Edward Island, wishing the Surrey Eagles all the best. They've won the championship in the province. They've beat the Western Canada champions, so they've gone on to the Canadian Tier 2 emblematic champion for the Centennial Cup. And we
Royal
do hope
Bank
they...
Cup. Used to be the Centennial Cup.
Used to be, but it's still Tier 2 hockey. And it's still Junior A hockey, and boy, are they ever playing just great. So give us a phone call. We will be here till 9. We want to get as many names as possible on this telegram. So let us know, and we're going to be checking this thing out. Ian, good show tonight.
Yeah, it was, and I really enjoyed Dave Evans' picks for the lacrosse upcoming Western. Well, I shouldn't say upcoming. They had their first game last night, but I think this is going to be a great year for the Western Lacrosse Association. We've got both Gary and Paul Gate in the league this year. two best players at their sport anywhere in the world, and if you get the opportunity, $6 for an adult to watch the fastest game on 2 feet. You got to watch it.
No kidding. You've got to go out and you've got to watch it. Very entertaining. Well, the shot clock's winding down for this segment. On behalf of Ian Metcalf, I'm Steve Erickson, our producer, Wally Wild. Thanks for watching. If you don't play sport, at least be one.
Hairstyling for the hosts of Locker Room provided by Gizmondi's, located at the north entrance of the Surrey Place Mall. For the best in family hairstyles, visit Gizmondi's.
Put into our engineering department. I'd like that clarification.
I think there was a request, but Mr. Mattel?
Your Worship, yes, we are responding to
a letter?
A letter to Mayor and Council requesting, just as we are responding in the same way to removal of a restricted covenant in another report in the same way.
So this whole discussion is just coming up out of a letter of suggestion, is that correct?
It's a request.
Your Worship, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
It's just for clarification.
Okay, Councillor Casey.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll be very brief on this motion because I hope we're not going to start debating the merits of this motion, which is just to table it. It makes more sense if we consider that there was a request from the Southridge people themselves to prefer to have us approve, if we are going to approve it, prefer to have the pump sewer connection dealt with, and that it would just be a secondary position if that is not approved. So it doesn't make any sense not to do it in this fashion that I'm proposing.
Okay, well, I want to be clear. Let's not get into debate because we're going to probably have a follow-up motion that we can get in the debate. This is a straight postponement at this time. Councillor Hunt?
I don't wish to
Councillor Watts?
No, that's fine.
Councillor Villeneuve?
No.
Councillor Eddington?
Okay, we're speaking just to the amendment?
Just the tabling. No, tabling.
For the tabling?
Tabling, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to support the tabling just until we can get this on. There is a letter here, it's on page 93, from the Southridge School.
Okay, all in favor? Against? Okay, it's carried. Councillor Casey.
Okay, I actually, that was my sort of pitch at first, so I'll just
Councillor Hunt?
Mr. Mayor, I would then move that Southridge be allowed to connect to Morgan Creek sanitary sewer at their expense.
Seconder?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Councillor Villeneuve, Eddington.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll open this discussion by saying this. First of all, is an incredible way to bring forward a completely new suggestion for servicing a school property, a private school property that went through a public hearing process. This project went through a public hearing process. It was a project that we looked at as a council and voted to have, the majority of council, a property that was putting on a holding tank for a private school. The reason that the council at that time considered it was because it was very clear the school was not capable of locating, from their point of view, on a piece of property that was in a serviced area, that they could not afford servicing for the area, and the entire argument for putting a holding tank on this property was simply that they needed to locate in a suburban environment. It seems to me that it's inappropriate to be discussing a total new way of servicing a property after a public hearing, after restrictive covenants were put on the school when it was approved, stating on behalf of the neighborhood that there would be a restriction on the enrollment because it would be a small school because people surrounding in the area were not able to develop their properties and leave if it was going to be a larger school environment. And the servicing for the roads and outlying services were not being paid for by the school to upgrade the area. That was a stipulation. It was put forward by one of the council members that as protection for the neighborhood, those restrictive covenants would be put in place. Now we're totally looking at ignoring those covenants. We're totally looking at coming forward with an entire new proposal to service the school without suggesting that it goes back to a public hearing. And I think it's clear from my conversations with people in the neighborhood that the neighborhood now has accepted the fact that the school is there, that's on a holding tank, that they have no objection to the school at its current size, and as they said that they would have a limited enrollment between $350 and $400, staying as it is on the holding tank and the school going forward and being successful. I know that the majority of neighbors in that area have strong objection to a pump sewer line being taken in from Morgan Creek to service this one particular project without the other people in the area having the advantage of development also. We have a modified neighborhood concept plan that's going on in the area. People have agreed to look at how the area will be serviced, and I think that it's really important that we respect that. I think the connection from Morgan Creek on that sewer line was sized for a particular amount of sewage. I think it may have some effects on the Rosemary Heights NCP, and I think we have to be aware of that. And I think that we have an obligation to people in the neighborhood to be fair to what their concerns were. And this seems to me totally out of line to be bringing it forward through this kind of process. It's not going through the application process like every single other project has to go through for changes once the zoning in place or once restrictive covenants are in place. And I think that's unfair to the community. And certainly if this council has in its hands any kind of ability to be lobbied to change restrictive covenants in this community at particular whims, simply we might as well call them unrestricted covenants because it's unfair and sending a very unclear message to the community. I also think that if we allow a private connection with a private sewer line for one particular project, we are just opening up the door for other developers to come forward and ask for the same thing. We've tried to put in place in this city a process for orderly, clear development, and that has been going through the neighborhood concept plans. There's 14 to 16 different neighborhood concept plans. People have worked together, they put the money together to plan their community, to look at how it will be serviced in an orderly fashion. And for us to be moving outside of that process to facilitate the needs of one particular project, I think is wrong. I think the school has told us that it is a small school, it's not going to be a regional school, that it is only going to have 400 students. It looks to me that they have now asked for lifting of that restrictive covenant, which sort of discounts what they may be saying. It seems to me now they, in order to pay for a sewage pump, they'll look for a larger enrollment. And I think that it's wrong to be moving in this direction. Council should be taking it back through a public hearing if you're going to discuss it because the neighborhood has a right. And I won't support the method that this has come forward or the discussion on this particular project in this manner.
Councillor Eddington?
Well, this would answer the problems about the holding tank, but our engineering department has stated that they will not support the request for the temporary pump connection. They state that consequently it would be some considerable time for an extension of the gravity sewer system, so it does have to be pumped. And we did ask earlier if there was a blackout or anything, who would be responsible for the pump and the maintenance of it. It says also that the main Morgan Creek pump station was not designed to accommodate the flow from Southridge School. Thus, if flow is received from Southridge, there will be slightly less capacity available for development in the Rosemary Heights area. Consequently, the 28th Avenue option would have the least impact. It goes on, it says the disadvantages, it goes against current policy and procedure for servicing. It establishes further precedent for allowing pump connections. It will be seen by adjacent lands as special treatment, as sewer service will not be provided to others, and it will reduce the servicing capacity for the Rosemary Heights NCP areas if connection is to the Morgan Creek system. One question, if this is the will of council to the engineer, is it possible that a latecomers agreement could be done, that the system could be oversized enough to pick up the rest of the property in the area so it would be fair? Is this a possibility?
Mr. Mattel?
Your Worship, the latecomer option to anybody who upfronts the cost is indeed open.
Okay, thank you.
So it could be a sewer that would pick up the development in the area if this.
What you heard?
Yeah.
Councillor Watts?
Oh, sorry. I've done a fair amount of work on this, only because I did not sit on the last council when this was brought forward. And in many cases, I feel that we're still fighting the old battle of the school shouldn't be there. But the matter of the fact is that it is there, and I think we have to, make sure that the concerns are taken care of. Now, I spoke with the neighbors, I've spoke with people that work on behalf of the neighbors, and Councillor Villeneuve echoed almost verbatim the concerns. I'm also have spoken with engineering, I've spoken with Boundary Health, and I'd just like to say that Southridge is a registered charity, and I don't believe that they're in the business of making money. It is a school for the students of Surrey, and I believe there's 80% students from Surrey and the other from Langley and White Rock. So it does serve a need. Originally, in speaking with Southridge, they had requested to hook up to the sewer at that point, and they were denied by engineering. And the reason that they were denied by engineering was because of policy. When I asked them regarding the funding for the sewer system, because that question had been raised as well, I was told that it would be from fundraising efforts, not the increase of enrollment. In the past 2 years, the students, there has been 232 students, and the portables will be removed after 9 months when the high school is built. I've also sat with Boundary Health regarding the issue on the holding tank, and speaking with some of the neighbors, they have had concerns about the holding tank and going to environmental appeals and on and on and on, which we've all got in our package. And so that appeared to me that that was a concern, and I believe now in altering that and going to a sewer system, I think that'll alleviate a lot of the concerns that the residents had. Also, in looking at the pump connections that have been brought into place, they are for, I'd say, institutions, as it were. In looking at Southridge, I see that it's a school. It's not, I don't see it as being a developer in the business of making money. And as it is a non-profit society, I believe that their intent in doing that is on the up and up. With regards to the corporate report that we have from our planning department, some of the advantages, which I'll just bring out, that it will eliminate the need for the holding tank together with the need for the city's guarantee for proper operation and maintenance of this holding tank. And this one issue, I believe, was a large concern in the public hearing, a large concern with the council, with the last council, and the reason that the restrictive covenants were put on. So in alleviating that, I think that is a plus there. And also addressing the citizens' concerns regarding that holding tank and the traffic the truck traffic that was needed to be brought in to dump that tank. So I think that it's a better solution than the holding tank. I think that given our state of the nation in regards to schools, our shortage of schools, our shortage of areas where our students can go, I'm going to speak. I will support the motion for the tank. And
okay, thank you, Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support the motion as I understand it, but I better clarify that did the motion include a requirement that it be temporarily connected to the Morgan Creek sewer system as opposed to the other one?
Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify again, Mr. Mayor, I take it that it's understood by the motion that when the sewer is connected up for the area, that Southridge will be required to hook up to the main sewer at that point at their expense. Is that a given in effect by saying this is a temporary connection? Or?
Mr. Mattel? When the main sewer comes through?
Your Worship, when the main sewer comes in, then it will depend in large part upon how the main sewer comes about. For example, if it is brought about by somebody upfronting the cost and then latecomering it, then they get 10 years. Those who connect within the 10-year period will pay for the connection fee. Those who connect after 10 years do not. So it depends upon how ultimately the sewer in that area will come about. Currently, in our 10-year service plan, the gravity or the pressure-based sewer system is not provided for. So it is long ways down the road.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I want to say that I support the motion. I don't find this to be such a severe, concern or issue. The battle, as has been mentioned, in my view, has been waged and lost by the residents that oppose it. I mean, I hear many people being concerned about there being a school there. And time again in these meetings, we have concerns from councilors and from neighbors that where are the schools going to be built? Well, frankly, here's an opportunity for the non-public sector to build schools and take away some of that heat. And unless you philosophically oppose private schools, and I certainly don't, I support public schools as well in conjunction with them. I don't know how you could oppose that kind of development. It's just ideal to take the heat off taxpayers to get people willing and able to build a school at their own expense and to half fund it, because you only get about half of the finance from the government for these private schools. So it's really taking a burden off the public, and I think we should encourage that kind of development in any way we can. And that's all I see myself doing with this motion. It's nothing special to do with Southridge. This is a private school that's doing something special for us, frankly. And I think we should recognize that and really give them whatever breaks we can, just like we like to do for any good developments that come out there. And this is a good development in my view. The issue too about the precedent. Frankly, it'll be hard to find another precedent of a private school which has gone to an enormous expense to put into a holding tank, which the neighbors all complained about bitterly and continue to complain about. So council is killing two birds with one stone here and dealing with that concern of the neighbors by eliminating the issue with respect to the holding tank. So I certainly can't see it being a precedent easily repeated that council will be stuck with having to do this on a regular basis. These are very unique circumstances, and I really sympathize with Southridge in having to go through the process they went through to largely do a service to the majority of taxpayers, including Surrey taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hunt.
Well, Mr. Mayor, one of the real frustrations with anyone trying to build a private school is the goalposts keep getting moved. And I mean, we're seeing a classic of it here as we go through this process, because the last time this was before us, The issue was liability. Well, liability isn't being raised now because we're trying to address the issue of liability so that the city doesn't have a liability. And in fact, we're getting rid of that liability, but now we need to go, some people think we need to go to a public hearing in order to remove the city's liability. That's an interesting one. We need to go to a public hearing in order to connect to sewer. Well, that's an interesting one because all kinds of people every month are